What's up, FC fam? Got a lot to cover today, obviously. This could be the last show for Todd Father for a while. He did get a little phone call, and it's intriguing. I didn't think that you were going to do this at this point, but you might do a little tryout scenario. Do they want you to play indie ball first?
No. Well, so I'm not going to say the team yet.
Okay.
But they basically called me and said, listen, we've seen your show, whatever. We understand that you're doing your show. You work here and there. We're looking for another guy to lead this team. And I said, okay, fine. What would you like me to do? They said, well, you probably start at AAA, work your way back up. I talked to my wife. I'm like, what do you think about this? This is fantastic. She says, let's give it a whirl. So I can't say the team yet, but I'm making a comeback. This is going to be absolutely incredible. I have been working out. I've been hitting with my son and his 11-year-old team, and it's been absolutely a whirlwind. And, thoughts are going every which way. So this is exciting. I'm making a comeback.
You've been hitting with your 11-year-old team. It's almost as funny as you've been working out. Good night.
Hey, April Fools. Hey, Todd Father's coming back to the kitchen right after the show. Gonna get a great freaking sandwich. What are you putting on that thing?
I might go Italian, man.
Woo-wee.
A little
Italian,
salami, a little pepperoni.
A little 6-inch chicken parm. I got you.
Yeah. All good. With a little mozzarella on there. It'd be pretty sexy sandwich later.
Hey, with words like that, we got to keep you. You can't get back on the field when you're talking like that. That is verbal poetry right there. All right, so we did it. We were talking for, 3 minutes? We're like, April Fools? Okay. Kratz, you don't like April Fools? What's wrong with it?
I don't know. I was never a big prank guy. I'm not sure why. Guys are you must have been a big time prankster. I like the long game pranks, where you tell somebody something and then you forget about it for years and then they come back to you and they're like, wait, that wasn't true? I really thought you had 12 toes.
You're gullible, you're funny, you got a good personality, and everybody, and you're a big guy. Big guys are usually the funniest ones, and you can't really get stuff over. And credit to you for not doing it, but at the same time, don't think so.
My daughter loves April Fool's Day. My daughter loves April Fool's. I mean, there's something cooking for sure in this house after softball practice tonight.
Oh no!
Says the guy who fell on his face on
true.
opening day.
Yeah,
doesn't like pranks.
He's not the fun guy.
What?
He got money for that prank though.
True.
That's just me.
You only like pranks for money?
Someone else. I'm affecting somebody. I'm not affecting anybody else. That was just me. I didn't embarrass anybody else by making them look like, oh man, I made that guy look stupid. No way he believed Todd was gonna go back and play for the Brewers.
Michael, one of our superstars behind the scenes, just said, tell me why I believe that for a second. And that's why we do it.
Exactly.
It's one time per year. One time. I don't like stuff that gets tired, but once per 365, I feel like that's fine.
That's
right?
Plenty fine. You can do anything you want today, honestly, and get away with it. You might tick some people off, but at the same token, just go ahead and do it, because I've seen on Instagram, there's 10 of them. They said, I saw a bat company said they're making metal torpedo bats, one-time offer. You better get it in, and then they wrote April Fools. All good.
All right, so for the rest of the show, we're serious, okay? So let's start with a couple announcements. Number one, Snakes Territory. We are doing shows on animals now. Not just kidding, but it's the Arizona Diamondbacks show that you needed. And I know many of you asked. I'm being serious on this one. I had gotten messages. Some even specifically called out names who are involved, and there it is. So congratulations. Snakes Territory launched this morning. Jesse Friedman, Jack Summers are going to bring you Arizona Diamondbacks coverage all year long, just like we do with the rest of the shows. We got 16 total under the FT network, and we're excited about it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Welcome aboard, baby. And
can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
These things are so big. Just think about back in the day, when you just, if you don't have time to come and watch our show, you can get that half-hour session of your favorite team. I find that absolutely fantastic. Put it on, in the car while you're at home, whatever you're doing. You're going to know about that one team you love and enjoy, and you can ask questions, and you'll see interviews, all this kind of good stuff.
Think about how far we've come, right? When you and I are kids, you're like going to the end of the local news, or maybe obviously just when ESPN
listening
and
to the
Sports
radio,
Center were everything. But yeah, I'd listen to the radio. That's a great example, right? I'd be in bed at night as a kid listening to the radio, getting ready for them at some point to talk about the Mets for a few minutes. I'm like, oh, I can't wait till they talk about Mets. Stop talking about whatever other team, right? Stop talking about the New York Rangers. I want to hear about the Mets. And you're just waiting. You can't fast forward. Now you're just like, oh, everything I need to know on the Snakes or on the Mets or on the Yanks or on whatever team, right?
Fantastic.
Braves, Cubs, etc. Boom, there it is. So it's a good call. So anyway, QR code right down there if you're a D-backs fan, or if you're a Dodgers hater and you think this could be the team that takes them down, then go for it. So congrats to them. And then adding to this, which we spoke about yesterday, Jesse Freeman, who's part of that show, will join us tomorrow night for our first ever Playback watch along. And there's how you can get in on the action. I'll read it aloud for the podcast listening later crowd too. So it's 7:00 Eastern time. The Diamondbacks taking on the Yankees. Download the app, or you can watch if you go to playback.tv/FoulTerritory. Sign up for an account. It's a free account. Sign up, not asking for dough. And then you can enjoy the live stream of the Diamondbacks Yankees game with the crew. You need an MLB.tv account. We'll try and do some free game of the day so that you don't need that either for payment purposes, but I know many of you obviously are watching games with MLB.tv. So what happens is you log in and you're on with us, and it's not just a watch party, it's a watch along. We're all looking at the same thing at the same time. So super cool. It just got announced, and we'll see you for that tomorrow night. One more, and we'll get to this more later, but Lance Lynn just announced his retirement on his wife's pod, so just wanted to throw that out there because it was very fresh. There it is. Congrats, Lance.
Yeah, very nice.
And good for you for sticking up for yourself in terms of your price too, right? Kratz, Lance has made good money in his career. I don't know what the offers were. I'm sure we'll get the exacts from him when we bring him on later this week, but he probably had a threshold and it wasn't met. And he said, I've got kiddos at home. I made enough and I'm good.
Doesn't mean that he doesn't think the amount of money he was offered is not a lot of money. It just means there is like a line where you're just like, well, why would I not get as much as this person? Because I did this and I have done that. I've lost this weight. I'm ready to go. I'm willing to be a closer if necessary. That was talked about for like 2 minutes this offseason. But like for teams to not value him enough, it just shows how much they really wanted him. And you know, you're not just going to do it for the money. Yes, it's a lot of money, no matter how much you've made or how much you've not made, but you're not doing it just for the money. There's like a value to the next guy too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said.
And now he looks fresh too. He looks spry. He's ready to rock for family time. It's good.
Yeah, he got in shape to run around with the kids.
That's great. That's great.
I like it.
Look good at the picnic. Lance Lynn might have his shirt off at the picnic. First picnic he gets to celebrate this year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to bring a champagne bottle to the picnic and be like, is this what we do?
Let's go.
He's retired now. He doesn't have to work. Just hang out. Have a good time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, celebrate it. That's all. I'm not saying bring the bottle every day, but celebrate it one time. One time, Lance.
Of course.
We'll talk to him later this week. All right, we got a lot to hit today, so let's charge. Charging the mound. Whoa. Jurickson Profar had an awesome year last year, and we just started the season, and he is suspended for 80 games. John Heyman listing this tweet that the drug HCG, with the C and the G capitalized, is a masking agent used to restart natural testosterone production after a steroid cycle. Manny Ramirez also famously failed for HCG. Now, we're not going to read the entire apology because you can basically just copy paste from prior ones, but he did say, this is the key part, he would never knowingly do anything to cheat the system because of his deep love and respect for the game. He got tested 8 times last season, never was positive. All good, but then where's the explanation, or where's a little bit more detail? Did he tell us, hey, this is complete BS, I don't know what this is, I've never been involved? It's always vague. It's oops, I never would do this. But he did put this out there, Todd Father, pretty strongly, that he would never knowingly do anything to cheat it. Knowingly do anything.
Yeah.
Do you believe him?
No, I don't. I think the problem is you got to look back to last year, and see you got to look back to every year he's played, because now the speculation is going to be, is this his first time? Has he been doing it for years? Did he do it to get ahead of the game last year? And all of a sudden, he put up some big numbers. He bet. Everybody's like, oh, he bet on himself. Well, yeah, of course he did. But now, you said he 8 times last year, right? So the masking
when he got tested.
Yeah,
but a masking agent is for masking.
Yeah, it's to covering up. So it's unfortunate, man. We've been down this road with a lot of guys, and it is. It's very unfortunate to hear about such a loved ball player that has been playing for a while. I love him. I have a respect for the guy. We've always talked about Little League World Series and, how he's won it and I've won it, and we've had that connection. It's disappointing, at the end of the day when you see stuff like this. But you do hear it all the time now. It's a little bit less than usual, but now you got to think about every time he's played, and that's fair for a fan to say, listen, well, this can't be the first time he's ever taken it, when has he done it? So there's just a lot of things that goes through your head now. It's just that one time when you lie about something or when you do something mischievous, people are always going to second guess everything you do now. So it is. It's disappointing and unfortunate.
Before I go on my rant, I have a question for Todd. Todd, do you think anybody that ever tests positive and gets 80 games, or before when it was 50 games, is ever not guilty of it, actually didn't do it? Or do you think every steroid user that's ever tested positive is a user?
That's a really good question. I would say most of them are users. I would say maybe a slight percentage might have put a wrong cream on. I remember, I forget who it was. They put an athlete's foot cream on, and they had some sort of steroid in there. If that's what happened, okay. But I always give the benefit of the doubt if you want the truth. But the more and more it happens, I would say 90%. I would say do it. That 10% are just unfortunate.
I think we're in a generation now that we don't speculate this. We don't speculate it when guys have big years. Back when I first got drafted, back when I first, was even jumping into the big leagues in 2010, there was dudes, anytime anybody had a big year or they showed up and it was like, whoa, that dude put on a lot of weight. How did that happen? There was speculation. We're gone from that. And I love that we're gone from that, because that means the testing is working. What I don't love is the fact that there are people out there, excuse me, the people that I know that I played with that tested positive, that now Major League Baseball is saying, well, hey, you know what? We may have messed up on some of these, but you know what? Keep it under the rug. And I'm saying this with backing from the people that said it. You can't say that every single person that tests positive is 100% guilty. But when Major League Baseball comes up and they say they give you the suspension, and then you give a very vague apology like this, you question, what is the real motive? Why can't we allow Profar to come out and say what really happened? How did this really happen? Because if it were me, Todd, I was wrongly accused, if I never knowingly did this on purpose, I would scream to the high hills. Major League Baseball would tell me, no, you gotta stop talking. Okay, guess what, guys? Yesterday, Major League Baseball just called me and said, I have to stop talking. I did not do this, and I want to get to the bottom of this, because that's what you do when you are not guilty. You go out there and you bang on everybody's door, even if it's just one person that wants to listen. Because to me, the guys who didn't do this should not be lumped in with the guys that did do it. And also, why all of a sudden do we just let this slide under the rug? To me, it's a Players Association thing. It's a Major League Baseball It's a Major League Baseball thing. Jurickson Profar is still going to get his money. Minus 80 games, he still gets his contract. Anybody know who Jose Azucar is? He was another guy that was an outfielder for the Padres last year who had an opportunity to maybe break into the big leagues. You know what? He ended up going to the Mets this year. Now he's DFA'd. And you sit there and you go, well, what if he had done steroids? Would he have had a breakout year? Well, Padres didn't need him anymore because Profar had a breakout year. There's more than just it affecting the game and the outcome and the Braves now because he led them astray, saying that this was actually me. I just changed my lower half. There's to me, I'm just not you went and worked on your lower half with Fernando Tatis and his dad. Sorry. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'll get roasted for this because I'm a career 209 hitter. I get it. If I had done steroids, I might have hit 211. Who knows? But you know what? I didn't do it. But just come out and be honest. Let everybody be honest with what happened because not everybody should be lumped into he tested positive, so that's a red mark on his career. Let everybody come out. Everybody that's ever tested positive, come out and say what it is. And if you don't want to say, to me, that assumes more guilt.
Okay, so Profar actually came up a few days ago when we were in Cincinnati, and I'm going to run the clip back. Yeah, good player. Really, really good on base guy.
Very good.
And he raised his average exit velocity by 5 miles per hour.
Wow. Which is insane.
Which is insane at that point in your career.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that.
That is true.
Probably went down a weight size in bat.
Is that what it was? He went higher. He went a longer and heavier bat, and so he just started hitting
longer
it harder.
Longer and shorter.
Longer, shorter, darker, and lighter bat, yes.
Two-toned.
Flame-tempered bats, and he was taking a bone and boning down the bat. That's what it was.
And the knob was not there anymore either.
All right, so here's the exit velo surge for Jurickson Profar from 2023 to 2024 that Kratz was talking about. When you watch that clip, you're like, oh, Kratz knew. No, he didn't know, but you can do some math in a number of ways and go, this seems fishy, but I'm going to kind of believe it. There's your exit velocity spike. I mean, nobody does this. It went from 86.5 to 91.1. Sometimes early career, maybe something happens and you get stronger and you make a change. But, at what is he, 30, 31, whatever it is, to see this spike, it certainly adds to the case. Alex Verdugo was picked up a couple weeks ago. We were like, oh, that's kind of some extra depth. Okay, well, they probably knew that there was a situation brewing, and that happened. No?
Because I was just going to say. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Todd. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when you find out that you failed the drug test, unless this doesn't happen anymore, you get a couple weeks notice, if I'm not mistaken. You get 10 to 14 days, hey, we're going to do this. Then you can say, hey, I want to get it looked at again, whatever heck that is. I'm just drawing a blank. Appeal. Thank you.
Yep.
And after the appeal, they're like, hey, came back negative again. We're going to announce it at this time. So they did know ahead of time. That's for sure. So we do. Unless things have changed, they're like, oh, you got it. We already announced it. No, that can't happen. That's not for the rule. But go ahead, Kratzy. Sorry.
No, what I was going to say was the rule used to be the team does not find out. Because I remember asking the Players Association because it was like, wait a minute, a team signs a suspected steroid user or whatever, and they can just go out and get somebody new, in the meantime while they're waiting for the test. And what I was told, maybe Ken knows more, what I was told was the team does not find out unless the player tells the team. Unless the player leaks it. I think you remember the whole Ryan Braun thing. That should not have been leaked until the investigation was completed, because I know some other guys that tested positive and that investigation took a long time. Oh man, and it grinded on them. It grinded on them so bad. They were the worst player ever when they were during that investigation part of it.
So he might have told them, he might not, but whatever. We can ask at some point, I'm sure. I mean, the show goes deep on this. All right, last thing real quick, because you guys are pretty heated on this. Should the suspension be longer? Should we go to a full season now? It's pretty rare. No?
No.
80's good?
Because they haven't perfected the system yet. They haven't perfected the dudes that test positive and actually didn't do anything. And I agree with Todd. It's probably 5%. But I know there is guys out there. I know for a fact there are guys out there that tested positive and did not take anything, and they haven't perfected it yet. So no. But what I think they should do is they should start hitting you where it hurts. And I'm not saying guaranteed contracts, because you can never take players' guaranteed contracts away. Hit them where it hurts. You know what? You're never allowed to be an all-star again. You're never allowed to be a whatever. Because there's plenty of guys. Oh, he's an ambassador now for this team. 2-time offender. This guy's the nicest guy ever. 2-time offender. This guy got popped, and he got popped in a paper trail, and people are like, wow, what a team leader. Amazing. He made his first all-star game. All that stuff, your awards should be stripped away, in my opinion.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. Well, we'll obviously talk to Ken about this later.
Yeah,
Last word.
I think you bring up some good points. I'm not sure.
About the all-star part?
Yeah, I mean, because, you see in other sports as well, guys still come back, make all-stars. But, I mean, maybe take those 80 days. I mean, or maybe I just don't know. I don't want to speculate. But if you get suspended for 80 days, do you get those 80 days on service time still?
I don't remember about the service time, but the
pay,
what I mean? Pay you don't get.
If that's the case, take those 80 days away from service time as well.
For a vet, it doesn't matter as much. No, but I get what you're saying for an early player.
There's something more that they have to do. Yeah. But
if you're a superstar and a Hall of Fame candidate, then I mean you're not getting in. People aren't going to vote you in these days. But anyway, all right, let's just continue the conversation later on with Ken. But good deep dive here. Profar out. Braves are struggling too. They're winless so far to start the year. Dodgers took them out easy last night. All right, we're swinging back with a feel-good story, which we need after that. Brad Lord is going to join us, who made his major league debut a few days ago. He was working at Home Depot not too long ago. Great story. Next. All right, we're back. We'll take some little things. Hey, the Tigers get on the board after falling to the Dodgers in the first few games. They won 9-6 yesterday. Obviously, we're not going to get to every single game in every show, so we're trying to do this more in breaks. Let us know if you like it. Tigers are now 1-3. Jackson Jobe is nasty. Tigers had a 6-run first off Emerson Hancock, who I spoke about as the person I'm concerned about this offseason. Yes, there's a lot down the middle quadrant of the plate. And for the Tigers, Gleyber Torres, left oblique strain, 10-day IL. But Tigers are going to be good. I was pretty pissed about some of the criticism on the Tigers after falling in 3 games to the freaking Dodgers. I'm like, relax, okay? Also, they didn't get trounced. They're going to be good. But anyway, they lose Gleyber for some time period. So does that mean Cole Keith goes to second and Torque at first again for now?
I wouldn't move Torque. He's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Leave him where he's at. But everybody else, AJ Hint's going to maneuver people left and right. And, you think about the schedule that this team has from the get-go, this West Coast swing, oh my goodness. If they could come out somewhere sort of 500, that would be fantastic. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But again, this team has done it before. Hinch has moved guys around in different spots in the batting order, in different spots on the field, different DHs. He is not afraid to put guys anywhere and move them around. So I'm not really worried about this. It stings a little bit. Gleyber Torres, I love the guy. He finally got out of New York, and now you got a 10-day. Johnny, I think it'll be not a lot more, but I think it'll be more than 10 days until he gets back on his feet a little bit. But to start the year off like this, it's just a kick in the rear end,
Yeah, it's a 1-year contract. He's trying to prove it and get back to the market at a young age and make bank. Yeah, Keith played second yesterday. I wanted to make sure I was right on that, but Torque's going to play first, I guess. At least for now, you got to keep that bat in the lineup. Suddenly he's hitting cleanup. He was 2 for 5 yesterday. He's off to a ridiculous start.
It's got to be a torpedo bat.
We'll get to that.
I'm kidding. I don't know.
If you want to look up, take advantage of your opportunity, Spencer Torkelson. Like, people are like, bro, I didn't get any chance. They only let me start on opening day. Hey, that was your chance. Look at what Torque's doing. I don't know that he's going to hit 300, make an all-star team or any of that, but hey, he took his chance right now, and he's hitting cleanup for the boys.
Yep. Hey, we're excited to have Brad Lord joining us right now from the Washington Nationals. Brad, great to have you on. Thank you for hanging on for a few minutes. We thought this obviously was super important. Congratulations on making the big leagues, making your debut the other day. And of course, I want to get into the backstory because it is very unique. How you doing?
I'm doing great. First of all, thank you guys for having me on. Can't wait to get into it. Um,
Let's do it.
no,
Yeah, right off the jump. Go ahead, Brad.
oh yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say, I mean, it's making my debut this past Sunday. It was, just a dream come true. A huge flood of emotions and adrenaline, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
So let's start with the backstory because you are unique because of a prior job. Give us the lowdown on that and how much coverage it's gotten you in a good way for people in the baseball world to have hope, even when the path is not the easiest to get to where you are now.
Yeah, kind of going into the off season, I was like, I got a lot of free time on my hands, obviously, and I was like looking for some places to apply, and there was a Home Depot right beside my apartment. So I was like, oh, let's apply there, and got the job and got put in the garden section, and it was a lot of fun. Get to help out a lot of customers, and once Christmas time came around, I was working in the Christmas tree tent, so that was a lot of fun. It smells really good, and you get to help people pick out Christmas trees.
So it was
That's pretty
more of
fan.
less out of necessity, more out of get yourself off the couch kind of thing.
Oh, it's still out of necessity too. I still got bills to pay, so I had to do something.
Let me ask you this. It kind of spanned towards me because they know I'm the working man around here. I get things done, especially around the house. Um, how come every time when I go to Home Depot, I get nervous and sweaty inside? I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. Like I get so nervous. There's so much stuff in there, and I need help every time I go because I have no clue what I'm doing. So can you like give me some advice next time I go in there? Do I need to look on the app first? Like what's something I can do if I'm looking for, you know, sectional carpentry to, mulch to, whatever it is.
I mean, I'll tell you first off, you're not alone. My first couple of days
Okay.
there, I was nervous and sweating trying to find everything. Um, but the easiest thing to do is, as soon as you walk in, if you're looking for something, just ask the first associate you see. That's the easiest thing that I found, and when customers would come in and ask me that, I could point them to the right spot.
So do you
Incredible.
feel? Did you keep your vest? And do you think you're going to have to wear it when you guys do rookie dress up later this year?
No, I actually did not get to keep my vest. From working in the Christmas tree tent, it was covered in tree sap. So I was like, this thing's pretty nasty, so I just I threw it away. I didn't expect it to get this much traction.
What did your teammates say about the whole Home Depot thing? Were they running with it? Were they having fun with you? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, they were definitely, having fun with it, asking me, if I had any pictures or anything, or just like little jokes here and there. Yeah, they were definitely having a lot of fun with it.
Now you're an 18th rounder, and people don't know 18th rounders. They don't get a ton to sign. Do you feel like you're the only dude in the clubhouse, especially in big league camp clubhouse, who had to get a job in the offseason?
Oh, definitely not. A lot of these guys too in the clubhouse, they've had to grind through the minor leagues, and in the minor leagues right now, we have it better than what they used to. So, they've all been through the same thing.
So what do you guys talk about? Is there anybody that had a worse job? Because you seem like you liked the job. I mean, Christmas tree farm, like who's mad when they're coming to buy a Christmas tree? So like I feel like it's a happy place to work, but like did somebody have a worse job that you were like, good night, I'm glad I got all I had was tree sap on my vest.
Um, no really specific jobs. A couple guys have said, they've worked at some grocery stores and stuff like that, or valeting cars. So, you know, not really any specifics that jump out, but we've all kind of worked some similar jobs.
Brad, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm trying to tell Todd what it's like. because he's never actually had a real job. He's only
That's
ever
a lie,
been an
dude.
all-star.
No.
An all-star, first rounder, all that stuff. So he's never had to grind it through the minor leagues by like getting a job. But since you did grind it through the minor leagues, you're not a grinder, but that's a whole nother story. You grinded it a little bit through the minor leagues for a few years.
Oh yeah.
Profar just came out, with an 80-game suspension. You were really close to making the big leagues. And I'm probably going to ask every player guest from now until the end of the week, do you see why somebody would take steroids to be able to make the big leagues? Like in your case, you were trying to make the big leagues, or stay in the big leagues, or stay in the big leagues and get a huge contract. Do you see it from a guy who's kind of on the fringe of something?
I mean, not really, just, kind of like the threat of it, because it's like we all know, like if we take steroids, like you're done, that ruins your reputation. And so, I feel like there's not really a need or an urgency to do anything.
Okay, but you throw 1 billion miles an hour. Let's say somebody came to you and said, "Hey, Brad, if you take steroids, you're going to gain 2 inches of vertical break on your fastball, and you're going to be able to throw 105 consistently and recover, so you'll be able to get 80 appearances." Is that more intriguing?
I still couldn't go for it.
Good for you. Good for you, because you make the decision ahead of time that you're like, you know what? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, I'm going to spin it back to the field. So when you're, working in the off season, do you visualize what you just went through? Is there, a time when you're feeling like, I don't know, this path is tough and I got to pick up a second job to pay the bills, and, somebody's asking me for something in the garden section that doesn't even exist, but really I'll show everyone I'm going to be on a big league mound for the Washington Nationals coming up soon. Like, tell me what goes on, because obviously those are long shifts and hours. Like, what's stewing in your brain as you're going through a work day like that, hustling to make it?
I mean, definitely like have a lot of downtime, later in the night when there's not as many people in the store. So I have a lot of time to think and use it as like motivation. Is like, all right, I don't want to have to work a job in the next off season. So it really just kind of fuels you to be like, I'm gonna work harder every day and try to achieve the goal of being in the big leagues.
How do you stay now? How do you stay in the big leagues? Because I'm sure you've thrown all the heavy balls, you've gunslinged baseballs to try to throw it as hard as you possibly can. How do you stay? Because you were just a starter in the minor leagues, if I'm correct. I think you had a few appearances that weren't starts, but mostly starts.
Yeah, it was mostly starts. I feel like the name of the game is just staying healthy. If I can stay healthy and, stay on the field, that gives me the best chance to stay.
Is there a guy right now that when you were first coming up that you were that like took you by the wing a little bit and said, "Hey man, let me talk to you. Let's go over the ins and outs here," and making you or helping you get prepared for the big leagues? Is there a guy on the squad right now that you appreciate right now as you're moving forward?
I feel like there's a lot of guys. The whole team has really welcomed me with open arms. Any questions I've had, they have answered them right away. All the veteran guys, you got Trevor Williams, Kyle Finnegan, Jake Irvin, they've all been really helpful and, just kind of being with me along this and getting me used to the lifestyle.
What happened when that phone rang? When the phone rang out in the bullpen, you had the how hard was your chest beating?
Oh, it was, just being there on opening day, that ceremony, my heart's pumping the whole time. Especially once that phone rang, just expecting them to hear or call my name. And, I was just, when they finally said my name, it's just a flood of emotions. It's very hard to describe. You get a lot of adrenaline and then you're just, kind of in like tunnel vision, ready to get on the mound.
So how many times did the phone ring before it was your call? I didn't see when you came in the game, but how many times was there other relievers or were you the first reliever up?
No, so I didn't come in until this last Sunday at home against the Phillies.
Okay.
So I had got hot actually a few times before that Thursday and then the Saturday game. I'd got hot a couple times during those games. So I kind of got used to the adrenaline spike, but there was still nothing to compare it to than when I got on the mound.
But did it help? But did that adrenaline spike help?
I would say so. My stuff. I gained a few 1 or 2 miles an hour on the fastball. But then also too, I didn't have a very good outing. I wasn't throwing
Yeah.
strikes, so I didn't quite harness that adrenaline in the right way. So I wish it could have went better, but oh well, we got the next outing under the belt.
It's okay. You'll be fine. You'll totally be fine. The ball was coming out hot. That's good. That adrenaline will still be there. You'll just learn to channel it, and it'll be like a superpower. Take us to the time when Davey told you, Davey Martinez, your manager, told you were going north with the club.
Yeah. So I had been in DC a few days because I came up for the exhibition game. I ended up getting rained out. So I didn't find out until Wednesday like at noon. I show up to the field and get dressed and pulls me in the office with all the coaches. And first thing he tells me, he's like, "Hey, we need another starter. We're gonna send you down to AAA." And so I was just kind of like, "Oh, okay. Let's just roll with the punches. Let's go get it." And then he's like, I hope you know I'm kidding. Every word I said was not true. You made the squad." Then just I kind of blacked out, just speechless. I didn't know what to say.
Wait. He pulled an April Fool's joke on you in March of your career on the line?
An early April Fool's joke.
That's not cool, but I like the joke.
No, I would say it's a good joke to look back on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
it's a good one. But
it is fun.
You had the range of emotions. Now, last one from me. Now you're in the big leagues. You just faced pretty decent star-studded lineup. Is there anybody in the big leagues where you're like, if I face him, like, whoa, that'll be like cool, like extra special. Not that you're intimidated by him or you think that dude's gonna hit a dinger off you, but that like, whoa, I get to face this guy.
I don't know. Nobody really sticks out. I try not to think about, necessarily the name of the person in the box. But looking back at it, it's kind of cool when you say, okay, yeah, I've faced all the, some of these stars in the MLB I've watched for a while. After the game, it's kind of cool looking back at that.
Kratz, he's like, yeah, everyone's kind of trash. It's all good. I'm about to dominate.
It's true. That's what you have to do.
Hey, that's the mentality, right? That's what you want. A lot of relievers are like that. They're like, yeah, he's crap. I'm going to take him down. So, I mean, you're clearly a nice guy. You've got a great, humble story to get you to where you are, but it's awesome to follow, man. So thank you for joining us soon after the debut. We'll catch you down the line, but good luck. Keep crushing it out there.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for having me. Y'all take care.
Appreciate you. Brad Lord joining us, Washington Nationals reliever, just made his debut several days ago, a couple appearances into his big league career, and obviously had to work hard in many ways to get to where he was. All right, Kenny Ballgame Rosenthal is going to join us soon, and also Garrett Crochet. Conversation will happen next. Yes, Kratz?
Sorry, I have to say it. I've said it on our thread the last few days. The highlights from the night before, in between breaks, I know not everybody gets them. The YouTube crowd gets to enjoy them. If you watch MLB TV, they have like the faded out highlight kind of thing, and it's like Isaiah Kiner-Falefa hitting a home run for the Yankees in slow motion. It's like, George Springer sliding for the Astros. I love the current, whatever that's called. I don't even know what that's called. Is that called like a underlying video? So Frankie or whoever's doing that.
Oh, in the background?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice. Well, and also we're going over things in the breaks that happened yesterday whenever we can. So we'll give this one a minute. The Reds put up a little 14 spot yesterday on the Rangers. So 2 parts here. One, Ellie De La Cruz, among others, went off, but Ellie, a career high 7 RBIs, 4 for 5, 2 homers, and Brady Singer with 7 shutout innings, a hit, 2 walks, and 6 Ks.
Huge.
Could we have a little good trade for both sides action?
Well, I think so. I think it fit the Reds well because they need pitching. And what's his name? India, right?
Yep.
He was, he's a stud. He's a guy. He's a kickstarter. He's the straw that stirs the drink. He's a leadoff guy. Get on base, Unfortunately, he did get hit in the face the other day. Hoping he's doing pretty well. But, yeah, I think there's nothing better when you can trade somebody knowing you got a really good trade out of it. And for the other team, you don't wish ill upon him. But at the same time, you're like, he's doing well too. So good communication. You never know. In baseball, you can come back to the same team. I've seen it happen numerous times. But this Brady Singer dude, Kratz talked about him a lot during the offseason. This kid is a gamer. So 8 Ks, 1 hit ball, 7 shutties. Ooh-wee, what a start.
He's not going to give you 7 shutty all the time, but what he gives you is length. He did it again in his first start. He gives you length. More length than any Reds pitcher last year that was on the active roster, any of their starters. He gives you that much length, and everyone's afraid, oh no, he's not going to do well in Cincy. 1-0, Brady Singer.
That's right. Let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, let's get right to the Jurickson Profar suspension. What was your reaction when you saw that news yesterday?
Can't say I was totally surprised, because anytime you have a player who has a year like he did after the year he had before the prior season, you wonder a little bit. That's just the nature of it. It's human nature. Obviously, it's terrible news for really the sport, not to mention all the people involved, including Profar. And I don't know what else there is to say. We have tried to understand over the years that this is still happening, and I've emphasized to people over the years that this is still happening as much as baseball has tried to eradicate it. You can't totally eradicate PEDs, and that's the issue that the sport will face really forevermore. So it's cleaner than it was. There's no question about that. But to pretend that it's entirely clean, that would be a mistake.
Is there more that we could do to catch this, 0.1% of guys, 1% of guys, or maybe it's higher, what you're alluding to, which I would agree, that, is there more that we could be doing as a players association and also as Major League Baseball?
I'm not sure, Erik. I'm not an expert on drug testing. It seems to me that the program that was introduced in 2015 with harsher penalties and stricter testing was and is somewhat effective. Now, is it totally effective? No. And are guys doing crazy stuff maybe with undetectable substances and avant-garde masking agents and all these different things? I don't know. But it's something that the sport does have to remain vigilant about, that's for sure. And it has to constantly update its practices to ensure that the sport is as clean as possible. And it's just really difficult for fans, I think, out there to say, okay, everything's on the up and up. When something like this happens, there is this doubt that forms in your mind. And that's the doubt maybe I had with Profar, right? That, okay, we don't know entirely that the changes he made, the work that he did in the previous offseason with the Tatis family had a positive impact purely on that alone, or was there more to it? And there were suspicions around the game last year. But of course, you can have suspicions about anything. It doesn't mean it's true. Yesterday confirmed that something perhaps was going on.
Ken, what did you think of his statement to me? I said, copy paste seen that one before. Didn't willingly, lawyer-ish, just what everyone else puts down there statement. And do you think that the Braves front office feels like they got worked because they signed him to a 3-year, $45 million contract? He's going to miss half that for year one, but he's going to get the rest.
I will say his statement, I thought, compared to some of the others, was better. It was not an excuse-filled thing. It was basically an apology. So I had no problem with that. Yes, he said it's because of my deep love and respect for this game that I would never knowingly do anything to cheat it. Yes, we've heard that before, but there isn't a whole lot he can say. Now, as from the Braves' perspective, yeah, I would imagine that there's some concern or feeling in the front office that, this is something we didn't anticipate necessarily, and something certainly that didn't turn up in his physical. So, yeah, I'm sure they're not pleased with this development. And then you wonder, does he come back the same player, a different player, a lesser player, or does he continue on and become a really good player again as he was? It's hard to know.
Well, let's stay on this for a little bit here. The Braves, you wrote an article a little bit ago about them and the understanding about, what is going wrong with them. Ronaldo Lopez, shoulder inflammation. They just sent down or DFA'd Jesse Chavez and Hector Neris. He got DFA'd earlier. They brought up Zach Thompson, who hasn't pitched in 2022. I know the bullpen is a problem, but is there also another problem of why they're, struggling a little bit in these departments?
It's a bad start, obviously, with bad news on top of it. The Lopez injury, the Profar suspension, the bullpen moves that don't seem to be working out all that well. They really didn't do much in the offseason outside of sign Profar. They tried to sign Jeff Hoffman, and I get into this in the article, in late November. They were not happy with his physical, backed out of the deal. He later signed with the Blue Jays after the Orioles also backed out of a contract with him. Got 3 years, $33 million to be their closer. The Braves' intent with Hoffman was to make him a starter, like they did with Ronaldo Lopez last year, and then that would give them the flexibility to mix in some of their younger starters if they performed well and move Hoffman back to the bullpen. Hasn't worked out that way. The curious thing to me is that they didn't do anything else with their pitching. And I know offense is the bigger concern right now. They had the 29-inning scoreless streak. I get that. The offense is going to be fine. But with the pitching, their concern was if we bring in, say, a Charlie Morton, bring him back, or Jose Quintana later, that those guys were purely starters and they would effectively block a guy like Grant Holmes, who pitched last night, did not do terribly well against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and some other guys that they have in mind, with Strider coming back as well. We can always look back at an offseason and say, that didn't work out the way it should have. And perhaps this offseason will be one we look at like that. But the other point I made in this story is that with Profar, they're going to save, because the suspension is unpaid, almost $6 million. They're already about, well, including that money, they're about $14 million under the luxury tax threshold. That's according to Fangraph's estimation. And that gives them the flexibility to do things if they want to, leading to the deadline and then at the deadline. So Alex Anthopoulos has been aggressive in the past at the deadline. We know that. I expect him to do some things, but he didn't do a whole lot this winter, and that was a little bit surprising, yes.
Does that you just said that about Profar's 80 games. Does that come off of their luxury tax threshold?
Yes.
Salary?
Yes.
So it does.
It's unpaid,
it'll be calculated.
And they get credited for it. So right now, his salary for this year was $12 million. They will get charged, I believe the number was $6.19 million, and they save about 5.8, something along those lines.
Okay. Well, they can spend that $6.9 million on a new batch of torpedo bats. Are we making too big of a deal out of it? And who do you feel has had the best perspective on the torpedo bats? Because we've seen everything from relax, they've been around, to this is the worst thing ever. Major League Baseball needs to investigate the Yankees.
Well, first of all, the Yankee aspect of it is ridiculous because players on other teams are using them too. So I know we're all in love with conspiracy theories and everyone wants to accuse the Yankees of everything. But in this particular case, they're guilty of nothing. I went through this on Fair Territory yesterday. The Rays have players that are using. The Blue Jays have players that are using. The Orioles have players that are using these bats. And beyond that, the Red Sox, the other team in the AL East, they have tried them, and Alex Cora said that those guys that they have don't like them necessarily. Other teams are ordering them. So this is not illegal or anything like that. Now, the impact of it, that's the better question, Erik. And the Brewers, of course, they were the victims of the Yankees torpedo bats in the first series, and they go in and give up 11 runs last night to the Kansas City Royals. So I don't know. Maybe it's the Brewers pitching. We'll find out in time if these bats are having a true impact on hitting and if it leads to, I don't know, a greater offensive production. I sort of doubt that's going to take place. Making contact is still going to be difficult for guys facing 100 miles an hour, as they do all the time now. But it's something that over 5 games or after 5 games, 6 games, we cannot make a determination on just yet.
Best perspective in my mind right now, Ken, bat companies, they're like, everyone needs one. Everyone needs one. Kids, you need a torpedo bat. I've been seeing all the executives for bat companies like, oh, yeah, I mean, we're getting so many orders. Every big leaguer has one. You need one too, kids. So I think that part's hilarious. But I
did like Aaron Judge's perspective, yeah. Scott. I liked what Aaron Judge said. My last few years without them speak for themselves.
That was really good. So from a coverage perspective, Ken, are you surprised at how much this took off over the weekend, especially being that these bats have existed for a little bit of time? Some guys have had them, like we mentioned, and even I think in the fall league, some guys were using them. So it's not like it's out of the realm, but does this speak to the power of, say, the New York market sometimes, where the timing lines up, the Yankees are hitting, they go off against the Brewers to almost video game-like numbers, and suddenly everyone's like, oh, here's why.
Well, and also Michael Kay, their broadcaster, is the one who kind of made it public. He said the Yankees are doing this on the air. So if they were doing something illegal, I don't think their lead broadcaster would be advertising it publicly like that. But yes, Scott, I think you are right that this speaks to the power of the New York market and the Yankees and just the attention that they get. For instance, if this had happened, let's just pick a team, the Kansas City Royals. And the Kansas City Royals play-by-play man went on the air on Sunday. They were having a big day, just making this up hypothetically, and said, hey, the guys are using some new bats. I don't know that anyone would have picked up on it right away. So certainly the New York aspect kind of made it snowball, and the Yankees' success over the weekend as well made it snowball. But again, I want to see more. It's quite interesting. All of these things are interesting. I had a former major leaguer yesterday tell me, this isn't right. If you're not hitting on the sweet spot, that's on you. But we've seen so many technological advances over the years to hopefully make players better, to help them be better. And this to me seems to fall into the same category. Like the hockey puck knob a few years ago that we started seeing, and we still see now. The idea was to shift the weight of the bat and help a player perform at a higher level. I don't see anything wrong with that. The pitchers are doing things to perform at higher levels as well.
100%. You took the words out of my mouth. So we don't even have to talk about it anymore about those pitchers complaining. But we'll talk about another pitcher. Garrett Crochet just signed a monster deal, 6 years, $170. That's $170 million for Boston. Talk a little bit about that and explain to me, do you think this is good, bad? What do you think for the young man?
I thought it was a great deal for Crochet, and I frankly was surprised by the size of it. Basically, if you boil this down, his last year of arbitration is next year. So let's assume next year is $10 million. That's probably being generous, but let's give him $10 million for next year. He's at 3.8 this year. That means his 5 free agent years are worth $160 million. That's $32 million a year for a guy over 5 years, for a guy who really just last year was his first full year as a starter. He had Tommy John surgery in 2022, missed that whole year, came back in 23, and then last year he started for the first time on a regular basis. That is a testament to what the Red Sox think of him. And it's also a testament to the Red Sox because all we've heard for the last several years in the wake of the Chris Sale contract is that John Henry is kind of risk averse with pitching deals right now, big ones. They didn't do well with David Price. They didn't do well with Sale. And here's Garrett Crochet, and he's getting a big deal. There's no doubt about it. This is a big deal. So Good for Crochet for sure, a guy who's fought his way back, fought his way into prominence, and good for the Red Sox because, hey, heaven knows I've criticized them and have a number of other people in recent years for their lack of spending. With the Bregman deal and with this deal, it shows a different strategy than we've seen in the recent past.
Yeah, they're spending and they're off to a slow start on the field, but it's super early. And so credit to them. Yeah, this is more like the Red Sox we were used to from several years ago when they were more competitive. My follow-up here is, were you surprised? I know you said you were surprised about the number. Were you surprised about the timing? Because it's basically one start and then it gets done at this point. And I'm with you. I looked at it. I'm like, okay, Corbin Burns got low 200s. I mean, this deal's not that far off of a guy who made it to free agency and had way, way more of a track record. I know Crochet, stuff-wise, though, is up there amongst the best in baseball.
The timing surprised me only because Crochet said on a podcast the other day that they came close before opening day and it didn't get done. And it seemed at that point talks had stalled and it was going to be put off until perhaps the offseason. Now, sometimes you will see these things linger into the season and change in the early weeks and deals get done. That seems to be what happened here, that they just kept negotiating and Crochet perhaps had a number, and if the Red Sox hit that number or came close and they finally came to that agreement, then everything was fine. So the timing surprised me only because of what Crochet had said publicly, but it didn't mean this was over. And even in the Vlad Guerrero Jr. situation, that one's not necessarily over either, though it certainly has not been resolved at this point. If the Jays eventually get to the point where Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is satisfied, if they hit his number, then I would expect he would sign even if it's during the season.
Ken, do you like April Fool's Day?
I do.
Do you have any good stories? Because normally it's about during the season. If not, it's like everyone's cranking up. Do you have a good one a good prank you pulled or that you saw someone else pull?
How about one that was pulled on the entire country and I fell for it? The Sid Finch story. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this. It was kind of before your time. In 1984, I was working my first job in York, Pennsylvania. And I was living with a friend of mine from college who was also working at the same newspaper. He was a big Yankee fan. And at the time, before I was covering baseball, I was a Met fan. And Sports Illustrated came out with the Sid Finch story. This guy was on the cover, this crazy looking guy, and this whole story was written about this guy who throws 110 miles an hour. He is an eclectic, kind of weird dude. And I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I went running down the stairs of our duplex, $320 a month duplex in York, Pennsylvania that year. And I flew down the stairs, holding the magazine, showed it to my friend and said, "Look at this, man." We get to the newspaper that day and it came out that it was all April Fool's, a big hoax. The Mets were involved. It was a great story. So yeah, I was the sucker.
You and probably millions of others.
Oh, yes.
So great job. Yeah, Kratz too. Great job by SI, the Mets, everybody being on that. It just reminded me also of the Kyle Kendrick story, which we've talked about on the show before. That was also just wild. I don't think that was for April Fools, but anyway, Ken, thanks for sharing. Thanks for reminding us. We'll catch you later this week. Ken and Alana on Thursday, 12:30 Eastern. Normal times for everything now, okay? 1 o'clock show every single day rest of the year. 12:30 Eastern, live Fair Territory on Thursdays. So if there's a question that you want to ask them or you didn't get to today, obviously we're going to ask about the basics, the big topics, then shoot them over to Ken and Alana on Thursday. We'll be right back. All right, we're going to get to the A's opener in a little bit in the show, but we actually didn't have time, or we just missed the Rays opener because that happened on, what was that, Friday?
Friday, yep.
Yeah,
The day after.
at old Steinbrenner. And they can't cover everything up. They did a pretty good job. I mean, all the seats still have the Yankee logos on them. I mean, it's Yankeed up there, but it is what it is. They had a good turnout. They had that walk-off from Cam Meisner on Friday, but we should show this little video from Friday. Stu Sternberg, owner of the Rays, sees the sell sign from the fan who recognizes Stu in the owner's suite or whatever version of that in the minor leagues they have. And definitely saw what's up, because he's like, oh, what's up? And then he flips it. So that was just a made for social media moment. And then he had a little line, but he is not well liked right now in the area, since they can't get a deal done for, my entire, or not my whole, but a good portion of my life and your life.
I can never be a guy to bring a poster or anything to the stadium. I don't know. I'm just,
when I was a kid, I did. Not as an adult,
but I mean, he'd be blind if he didn't see that, because there's not many people there, and he's probably like, "Yo, Stu," and Stu's like, he's like looking, he's like, I just caught eyes with this guy, and it says "Sell, Stu, sell." Oh my god, and it goes so good because Stu, S&S, sell, Stu, sell. Oh my god, I hope this doesn't take off.
It did.
And then he puts a smile on his face, and he's like, all right, yo, Stu, sell the dang thing.
It's embarrassing.
And everybody hears it. Yeah, he's got to be embarrassed.
Yeah, and it's embarrassing to also have your team in a minor league park. Again, we know there was a natural disaster, but they had a new park, and it was built to standards nowadays in Florida. It would not have rolled over. That thing was basically like putting tinfoil over an old ballpark that shouldn't be there anymore. So I actually think it went too far that way, where people are like, the A's have no excuse, the Rays do. I'm like, no, they don't, okay? There are plenty of big structures in Florida that don't get bowled over by hurricanes, as awful as they are. It would have been fine if it was a new ballpark made to standards. Florida knows what they're doing with the hurricanes these days. Anyway, the Rays had a nice 6-1 win over the Pirates, who are now 1-4 in yesterday's game with Drew Rasmussen. Rays are going to be a pain in the ass, Kratz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're always going to get pitching, and they keep bringing up dudes that nobody knows of that was AA, AAA. They just keep getting hits, stealing bases, so they feel comfortable playing in a minor league park.
Yep. Hey, a reminder to everyone, our watch-along is tomorrow night. The first one, we'll do more, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and it is the Yankees and the Diamondbacks. We'll have perspective on the Yankees side with Derek Lewandowski, our pinstripe territory aficionado and host, Jesse Friedman, host of the new Snakes Territory, and Cam Maben will be on with me as well, so you can download that app. It's free to get an account, and then we'll stream the game together and give you kind of an alt cast. So we'll do our version of the Manning cast, FT style. Let's hit this. Red Sox are in the news a lot right now. Kratz, what did you think about the Garrett Crochet extension? I saw it. I was like, oh, wow. He's still under team control for a couple of years. Good for him. Great job on that deal. I mean, that's a big money deal for someone I just talked to Ken about that, has had injury concerns, had one good season last year. Stuff is off the charts, but the Red Sox clearly did not want to let him get to free agency.
I don't think he wanted to get to free agency either. He said it last year. Hey, you want to trade for me? You gotta extend me if you trade for me. And the White Sox were like, oh, crap. Like, I get it. He's not dumb. This is good money too. Like, this is, you brought up Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns was in a open market. Crochet knows pitching is fleeting. Like, if you come off a Tommy John surgery, you got about 6 years to your next one is the average. Not for everybody. Is that sped up because he throws 100? Is that sped up because he throws a 92-mile-an-hour slider because his arm's at a different angle? We don't know. But good for him to get it. And the Red Sox, to me, I love what they did. I thought the Orioles should have done this with Corbin Burns. I thought they should have said, we traded for you. We gave up some big pieces for the Red Sox. They gave up Kyle Teal. Monstrous piece in that. There's other pieces too, but lock it in. This is worth it to the Red Sox, and this is really worth it to Crochet.
Absolute stud. He's going to be a great pitcher for a long time. In my opinion, a top 5 pitcher in the league. One of the best left-handers you're going to see play the game for a very long time if he can stay healthy. I think this is a great job by the Red Sox to lock a guy in that needs to be locked in. He's young. He's spry. He throws the ball really well. And he's going to be a staple for the Red Sox moving forward. And now he's got he could sit back and relax and just play the game too as well. Everybody that comes up, they get paid. I'm not saying they don't get paid a lot of money, but to get that contract under your belt, you could kind of breathe a little bit better knowing that, hey, I don't, necessarily have to, go out there and be Nolan Ryan every day. I could just be myself and still get guys out and still perform. Exceptional. Not a bad deal at all for both. And yes, I did say top 5.
He can get another bite at the apple. Yeah. I mean, so if he opts out after 2030, that's his age 31 season. I mean, good for him. But the owner of the Red Sox completely learned his lesson here. I think that's important too, right? He was cheap. I mean, it's true. John Henry definitely has had a lot of success. He wants to win, but he was cheaping out, and he also had PTSD from past deals. And that happens, right? That hurts. Chris Sale will be the first one to tell you that he felt like he was a bust after that contract was signed. Of course, they won a World Series, but that was right before the contract was signed, and John Henry wants to avoid that. So what does he do? He basically finds the guy who looks very much like Chris Sale and says, I'm going to sign him long-term now, so I don't let him get to free agency because we've kind of sucked the last few years, and I'm getting crushed by fans, and they were starting to talk with their wallet. And let's not overlook that, Kratz. Ratings were down on the TV side. Stadium was looking emptier than it had been in a long time. This is a super, super devoted fan base to the franchise, but you got to show some effort on both sides. And you cannot ignore paying top flight starters when you're a team like that. You can't just completely skip that part of the equation. There is supreme risk, but you might as well at least do it with some younger pitchers. I know he's had some injuries, and also we just haven't seen him as a starter for long, but this is a guy who at least you're going to get in those, mid to late 20s for the length of that deal.
Young is key there. He's not even 26 yet. He'll turn 26 this season. But to me, who got him this contract more? Was it because we talk about, he's got PTSD from the David Price signing or the Chris Sale signing? But who got it for him? The fact that Chris Sale shows if he's healthy, he can bounce back and be a Cy Young, even though he didn't do it in Red Sox land. Or was it the Mookie Betts? Like, I have gotten so much flack for letting a superstar go. So which of those cases made John Henry say, all right, this is an opportunity we have. This dude's still only 25 years old. How do we lock him up to be our future ace? He's not an ace yet, but a future ace.
I'm going to go off the board here and give you a name that you would not expect me to throw out there, and I haven't seen this anywhere, so maybe I'm coming up with something. But Yamamoto, who signs with the Dodgers a year ago, and of course he comes over from Japan with all the credentials, but don't overlook the biggest part of that signing and why he got that much money last year. Young. Super young starter, and obviously signed for a long period of time. This deal is about half that, less than half that in terms of years. And you're getting a guy during those age, 20, he would be, so he's 25 right now. So yeah, 27, 28, 29, 30. I mean, you're getting those similar years that you're going to get with Yamamoto. And it's at about half the price of Yamamoto's contract and about half the years of Yamamoto's contract. So do you think that's a factor? We don't see starters hit the market that often at this young of an age.
No, I agree. I agree with that, but I don't think the Red Sox had to do this. I think this is a good show. This is a great show. I mean, think about the last 4 weeks since they signed Bregman, something that they haven't done, and since they now have extended Crochet. Like, this should, Red Sox fans, you can still be pissed about your team's start or the fact that, they don't have this or that. That's fine. Ownership's doing it. Ownership that I was critical of is doing it. They're doing things to put their team in a good place. I mean, we heard from Corbin Burns. The Red Sox made a good push. It wasn't enough to draw them away from being home all year round.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to the team. Early. But they fall to, 1-4 after falling to the Orioles in the home opener. I'm not worried. I mean, 8-5 they lose. Tyler O'Neill went off against his former ball club from last year, 4-for-4 double, 2 runs. Mullins went off too with 4 RBIs. what I wanted to get to here is what we talked about yesterday, but just to get your take, Todd Father, from third baseman to third baseman, you to Devers. 0 for 19, 15 strikeouts in his first 5 games after another 3K performance yesterday. At what point does it really start to get to the head of what's been a superstar bat in baseball? And his glove side has been taken away, the defensive side of his game for this year. Let's also not overlook the fact that we talked about the shoulder yesterday and how that's potentially still a problem for him. But what are you seeing here? I mean, he's off to the worst start among anyone in the game right now, hitter-wise.
Listen, I'm going to the simple fact. This cat used to be a fielder. I mean, he's probably – I don't have the exact numbers, but he's been a DH before. I understand that. But knowing now that you are a permanent DH, it plays with your head a little bit. I'm not saying it's because he's struggling, but it plays a factor. You brought this guy over. You told the media, I'm the third baseman. I'm playing this and that. And then you say, all right, listen, I'm a team player. I'll do whatever it takes for the team. He wants to play, man. And I don't care who you are. I never liked DHing, every once in a while to get my legs, sit down and enjoy the game and keep my legs underneath me. But, everybody talks about his defense. They did it about Pete Alonso. The guy can play. I don't care what anybody says. All right, he had a bunch of errors. Don't get me wrong, but that's not why they lose all the games. They've been winning games because of his bat. They need his bat. This is a struggle. This is a problem. And I know it's only 5 games, but 15 strikeouts. I understand when you struggle, Scott, and you hit the ball and put it in play, whether it's a rollover, pop-up. He is not putting a ball in play, and that's the frustrating part. And I know he's got to be sitting there like, do I need to change nothing? No, your swing has been great ever since you've been called up. Don't change a darn thing. Keep doing what you're doing. Everything will be okay. We have to change this mentality up here. Go up there with a purpose. Look for a pitch to hit and drive and don't miss it, okay? Focus on what you can control. I can control my bat path. I can control my legs underneath me. I can control my mind and not worry about other things. But to answer your question, after the second day when, I have over 4 strikeouts is when it starts playing in your mind. Day 1, whatever, 3 Ks. And then another one comes and another one and another one. You're like, do I have a hole in my bat? No, you don't. Your mind is playing a lot of tricks on you right now.
It's a dark place. It's a dark place when you're swinging and missing. I've never struck out this many times in so few at-bats. I've had some really, really slow starts to seasons, and I am not 12th in MVP voting, 11th, 14th, 18th, and 13th in the last 6 out of the last 7 years in MVP voting. So this guy's going to be fine. The crazy part of all of this is people are like, well, it's a game of strikeouts anyway. The most strikeouts that Rafi's ever had was 143 in a season. I'm sorry, 147 in a season. And both years that he had 140 or above, he was an all-star. This doesn't happen. So it doesn't happen by chance. It's not all of the Bregman, the DHing, all that stuff, the shoulder, or it's not one of those things. It's all of them. It's all of them combined. And the results are just, he took a few walks. That's huge. I think he has 4 walks now, but he's in between everything. He's behind the fastball, ahead of the breaking ball. He swung at a pitch the other day, a changeup, and he was late on the changeup trying to swat at it. It is a bad place. It is so good when you see guys like that to know that you're sitting in this chair and you don't ever have to go through that. And he's only had 25 starts as a DH. So in an 8-year career, that is not many.
No.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Some people people strive on that. Edgar Martinez, Big Papi, like these guys, they're veterans. They understand that. Like it's very hard to sit there for 2, 3 innings, 45 minutes and not getting a bat. Like it's very difficult. And there's only so many swings you can get in the cage to get loose. That's what drove me crazy when I was DHing. How many more swings do I need to stay loose? Like when you're playing in the field, you're moving, your body is in it, your mind is in the game. Your mind can just drift in the dugout and, talking to it's very hard for a guy like that, knowing that he's been a starter. And now all of a sudden, just because we got this guy coming in, I'm not a starter anymore. I'm telling you, it's going to play with your mind a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they need him. Obviously, it's early, but they need him. They're off to a slow start.
Yeah, when he goes, they go. When he goes down, they go down. Same thing.
You're expecting the Red Sox to be better this year with Devers being a star bat, right? So he's not going to go 0 for a billion, but right now he is kind of 0 for a billion for the length of the season, which has only been less than a week. All right, swinging back to go over the A's home opener in Sacramento. That feels weird. I've heard Oakland A's left and right over the past couple of days. Even people on the MLB channel like, whoops. FT fam, shout out to Homage. Make sure you check out the website and also use our code if you want a little 20% off if you're a first-time shopper. There are so many Major League looks in so many different ways that you can find on T-shirts. There's all kinds of pants. The starter jackets are fire this year, new and more improved, and just every team you're looking for, Kratz, they've got it for you.
I mean, I'm going to hit on the Phillies because they got the old school, the back in the day before I was born, my dad's old school P. But then the starter jacket with the maroon Phillies P on it. Oh, baby, get that, John, because you can wear it all year when it's cold and in the spring when it's warming up.
Yeah, go for it. Heavier, higher quality fill to take you from spring training all the way to the playoffs. We've got them. Check out the website again, homage.com. I love their Grateful Dead baseball line as well. And use the code FoulTerritory for 20% off if you are a first-time shopper. Get after it, FT fam. Good looking shirt there too.
Yeah,
from Homage.
Major League. It was pretty cool. I was surprised on this one. Oh, I got to stand up. There we go. A little bit. Nice. I don't got the chest like Scott, but anyway.
Well, you're getting called back up to the show soon.
That's right.
That's about to change.
All good. But yes, they're comfortable. Very comfortable shirts.
Yeah, there's QR code and all that. Okay. Thank you, Homage, for being a sponsor here on the show. Awesome shirts. We'll wear more of them throughout the next few weeks. Speaking of legends never die, the Padres and the Dodgers undefeated. We're not going to talk about these teams every single day. There's 30 teams to cover, but the Padres beat up Luis Ortiz, Kratz, 7-2 win over Cleveland, and the Dodgers rolled over the Braves, who are just getting hit left and right now.
Tough start. You go from Florida spring training, you just work your way across to the West Coast to oh man, the Dodgers. This is a tough team, and they came out. Glass now was just spitting the breaking ball in the dirt. He was throwing it for strikes for freezes, swing and miss for freezes. I don't know if they could have hit that thing if he just kept throwing it all night.
Mm-hmm. Dodgers offense cranking right now too. Man, it's a fun lineup to watch. They're just feeling it. It almost feels like they're just coming straight off of October, and it continues. It's the same names doing the damage. And also, by the way, I just wanted to sneak this in there. Did you know they came out with the jersey sales yesterday? Kike Hernandez is in the top 20.
Wow.
You know, that was probably a name that stood out. Obviously, he's a lovable guy.
They love him.
The power of personality. Excited for this one. Let's do better than box scores, and we'll start with the Cubs and the Sacramento A's. The opening of the ballpark that already exists, but now is a major league park for years to come. And the Cubs welcomed the A's to Sacramento with authority, including a cycle from Carson Kelly, and basically everybody got in on the fun. Am I taking the over all year long at this ballpark? Is that a real number? I watched mostly the Dodger game, and then I would flip back every once in a while, and I'm like, 2 more. Holy crap.
Look at him. Unbelievable. Hitting for the cycle. I mean, that's a memory and something we'll never forget. You know, you're at a minor league ballpark, balls are flying left and right. I feel like he got jammed on the triple that he hit the right center. That was incredible. Got to be the torpedo action. But anyway, this is hey now, packed house, everybody enjoying it. The crowd looked excited. Even though the score was 16-3, Scotty, I think you're onto something here, man. It could be an over all day, every day at this stadium. So good for the Cubbies coming out there, getting going, especially after a slow start against the Dodgers and coming out a little sluggish. But, yeah, just welcome to Sacramento, man. Nothing more you can say about it. It's here.
It is.
Both teams, Tampa and Sacramento, welcome. It's the real deal.
Yeah, 18-3. Cubs were like, we're not happy to be playing in a minor league park. We're going to show it. Lawrence Butler was asked about the whole deal once he's finally in there and settled yesterday, and he said the clubhouse is pretty nice, but he's like, the minor league field and park part, it's a minor league park. I mean, they put $40 million into the whole situation, but there's the quote. He says, Sacramento's clubhouse is quite nice. And by the way, I'll add, I mean, they have a 2-story situation. You got to have some extra room in there. You got multiple teams that are using it home park wise.
Yeah.
He said, but the stadium feels like a minor league stadium. And that is what we're going to have here. We've got 2 teams doing this now, and MLB's okay overseeing that. But John Fisher spoke to the press yesterday. Evan Drellick wrote some good stories on the whole situation. He did not seem concerned about anything going on, obviously, with the Vegas plans, and basically everything there is all written up as, hey, we're here for a little layover, because Drellick spent about a week there in Sacramento, and he said it was kind of weird, right? The fans are excited to be able to see some major league games, and of course, here's the part I wanted to get to with Fisher for Kratz, because I know he's going to love it. I'll take the quote, my favorite quote from the story. And I'm sure we will get a lot of fans who are new to baseball and want to see what this is going to be like. And then we'll also get a lot of fans who will be, Chicago Cubs fans and Yankees fans. He's like, giggity. And Kansas City fans who are going to come out and support their team against the Athletics. And for us, it's all about bringing a lot of passion into the ballpark. And we think that we'll be able to achieve that.
What is going on?
Because he loves talking about other teams and other players.
I don't get it.
So I'm reading
Judge,
through, and I'm like,
guys.
okay, like someone's probably not coaching him, and you're like, you're doing good. And then he's like, and I love other teams coming to the park and beating us up. Oh, I can't wait for Judge.
Because think about it. He is essentially wants to go to the smallest market possible in baseball in Las Vegas. If he doesn't have all these other exciting teams coming into town to play my A's, he's got Jack, because he doesn't know how to connect with the fans. We just showed Stu Sternberg standing up there. If Stu Sternberg really cared about the fans and all the debacle and everything that everybody went through, hey, we're suffering through this hurricane together, he'd be down not in the suite that they made for him and his cronies. He'd be down with the people. So John Fisher, show up for the people. Go face-to-face with the people that say you should sell. Explain to them why you shouldn't sell, and you're wanting to put a product out there for the true A's fans. But no, he's like, oh, man, it's so neat. The Cubs came in. Oh, historic Cubs. Can you believe Shohei Ohtani's coming to Sacramento? It's unbelievable. It's going to be great. They're going to sell it. They're going to have more posters about who they're playing than who's on their team.
Well, there's barely any Sacramento stuff up. I mean, that's what the article says here from Drellick. And the mayor of Sacramento said, I'm calling them the Sacramento A's. I'm like, that's right. Say it with your chest, baby. He said, I'm going to buy myself a Sacramento A's jersey and hat very soon. By the way, that's not going to be available from MLB, so it's probably going to be from a shop selling it illegally. So don't call them out too much so they get in trouble. Anyway, back to the quote. He said, they're not calling them that, as in Sacramento, but we can call them that. And the Kings and the Sacramento River Cats were obviously all involved with getting this ballpark into better shape, including the natural grass instead of the turf that they wanted to roll with initially to save money, which would have been a disaster. And a Kings spokesman told Evan Drellick that they could interview one of their executives to talk about this, but only if the team could approve which quotes were used in advance of the publication. The Athletic declined to conduct an interview under those terms. The Kings have already commented publicly on the stadium project, so Drellick said it's an interesting choice when they're trying to bring a team into the city, and they will only let you talk to them, right? That ownership group and team situation, if they approve the quotes. Things are just always weird with this situation.
Fishy, very fishy.
Fishy is the right word for this. Did you see the tool shed?
I did see the tool shed.
If it gets too windy,
wasn't
I'm
giving
worried.
his presser in that, John, was he?
Yeah, it was. It looks like a Porter John.
No, you can't go in there. It got windy at one point. That thing could bowl over. I mean,
it could.
You can buy that actually from our boy on the show earlier at
Mr.
Home
Lord
Depot.
Yeah,
Brad Lord.
Listen, that looks like one of those COVID tents back in 2020 that they made. So they found the same supplies and made it pretty good. You know what? Listen, at the end of the day, at least the media knows where they need to go, and they can stay in there for a long time if they want. It's not like, oh, you got to be set time. So I give them credit for that one.
Yeah, except if there's some natural disaster warning, you do not want to be in that thing. No. Get to a real safe place, not that makeshift-ish. But anyway, it's going to be weird, you know? I mean, on TV, it looks like a minor league park. Kratz, it looks like I'm watching one of the MILB games, and there's the concourse, and then upstairs, you know, you don't have the multiple decks. You just have the mezzanine, which is really just some suites, and that's it. That's the park.
When the Yankees come in, are they going to expand that media tent? Because if not, it might be 110 degrees. There's going to be dudes standing outside of that, John.
Forget the Yanks.
Yeah, not big enough.
The Dodgers have like 30 Japanese media members, maybe more.
I was thinking the same thing. That's so funny.
They'll knock that thing over if you're trying to get every media member in for a Dodgers-A's matchup. So,
especially depending on who's pitching.
Yeah, I'm with you. But anyway, they started off their season, so we'll see how it goes. Cubs certainly had a great time with the beginning of that thing. Let's get to a couple winless teams. Tell me which team you're more concerned about. The Minnesota Twins or the Milwaukee Brewers? Oh. Royals beat up the Brewers yesterday. Maybe it's not the Torpedoes. 11-1. Their pitching staff kind of seems like it's in shambles already, but I'm still going to have faith. Brewers are going to brewer. Maybe not. Twins fall 9-0 to the White Sox. Chris Paddock ate up all 9 of those runs in 3 1/3, including 3 homers, all from the vets. Benintendi, Andrew Vaughn, Michael A. Taylor, and Martin Perez with 6 shutout innings. No hits allowed off Perez, too. 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. Maybe he had a point, Kratz. Martin Perez said, hey, we might be a playoff team. Hey, they might be better than Minnesota. They won't. But the Twins look really bad. To me, I'm more concerned about them. What about you?
I'm more concerned about the Twins only because, like, if you're trying to figure out how to improve on the edges, obviously you need a Royce Lewis in the lineup. Obviously you need to add to your lineup in the offseason because they just missed out on the playoffs last year. They started out really hot. They need to turn it around fast because I'm afraid for Rocco Baldelli's future. I don't think it's going to happen in the first month. I asked Ken about it before, but if they don't turn this around, that's who, to me, is one of the solid anchors of this team. Whether or not he has a good voice in the clubhouse, I believe he does from what I've heard from guys, but to me, I'm more concerned about the Twins than the Brewers because the NL Central is, in my opinion, is going to be kind of muddling or meddling. I don't know. It's going to be kind of just everyone's going to be right around the middle there. Middling. To me, I think the AL Central, the Twins can't get that far behind because some dudes are going to start running away with it.
Now, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm thinking the Brewers just because, listen, the hangover from last year. No Devin Williams. They're getting beat pretty bad. And then the pitching's not looking too good either. And we always talk about this. Let's pump the brakes. It's all this. Listen, these games all count. They all count. And you look back on the season now, we lost by 3 games. Well, what happened? Well, beginning of the year, we went 5-20. Whatever it is, example. But, yeah, you think about what happened last year, the home run by Pete Alonso, and next thing you know, Brewers coming out, putting up a goose egg right now. Who would have saw that coming? So they got to figure it out. They got good management, and I think they'll be fine. But at the same time, it just like anything else, it still plays in your mind.
Mm-hmm. They lost to Damas too, and he's, I always call the spark plug in terms of vibes and personality there. I mean, they've got other fun guys in the clubhouse, but that one hurts too. Twins just feel like it was such a collapse, and then nothing was done in the offseason, and the team's in limbo with the sale. It's a weird spot for them, but I do like some of the pitching there, especially the bullpen. It just you get blanked by the White Sox. That's really all we have to say right now. All right, let's swing back, and we'll go over some thoughts from Matt Strahm on the Torpedo Bats. We haven't heard from Todd Father on those lovely bats, and we'll get a little clip from Mayday, Trevor May. BetMGM Locks. Okay, let's recap from yesterday. Cam fell with his big boy parlay. Good job, Kratz. Phillies pick up the easy dub over the Rockies. Same with the Mets. Easy dub over the Marlins. You pick on those 100 loss hopefuls. And then I got a little no sweat bet. Hey, won it all back, baby.
I love that. Out of the 5 games, Dodgers have won by 1.5. 4 out of 5.
They're covering those run lines right now. The offense is cranking. Glasnow look ridiculous, and their bullpen is lights out. So I'm going to ride it right now while everybody's healthy. I put 7-10 on the line to win 7 hundo. I'm back in the green. I Todd fathered it yesterday.
You Todd fathered.
And I was watching the game like
a hawk.
I was like, this is going to get 2-2. I'm going to be freaking out late. Nope.
Course. And then Kiki, he went deep.
We love you.
Yes. All good.
I had the run lines. I chickened out. I have to be honest. I chickened out. I had a run line parlay with the Mets and Phillies. I freaking chickened out.
Well, I mean, it wasn't looking good until the 7th inning, pretty much, for the Phillies. So
yeah, I also don't like that attitude. Like, you won.
Yeah, no, that's him.
You take your dub and you move on.
He's scared money. You know that.
You won.
I got scared. It's okay though. I'm back in the win column.
Yep, exactly. We'll go over our picks for tonight in our next little break, okay? Coming up next, we'll do a little torpedo bat talk. There's some people, like on the video we did yesterday on the torpedo bats, there was one comment like, really? We're still talking about this? I'm like, yo, it was on the weekend. We covered it on Monday. Can we get a few days to talk about a topic that players are still tweeting about? Like, really?
Get over it.
Really, FT? Still?
Definitely Yankee.
Freaking day off the weekend.
All good.
Good. So, yes, we're going to spend a few minutes on a 2-hour show to ask someone who wasn't on yesterday his thoughts on the bats. Is that okay? Okay. Be right back.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
However, they're finding that the benefits of getting that momentum going in the bat do not outweigh the hitting it on the barrel at all. And guys like, this is Jazz Chisholm, another guy's Anthony Volpe, and another guy is Austin Wells, all using this bat because they have a tendency to hit the ball closer to themselves a lot. They're being jammed. Guys are throwing it in on them, and they're hitting really soft pop-ups, or they're hitting ground balls. That's the biggest reason, frankly. Like the difference between forcing someone to hit it off the end all the time or hit it closer to your hands. When you're closer to your hands, it's on the ground a lot more than it is when it's on the end, and you don't want to hit the ball on the ground all the time. Like, that is not what you want. But even if you hit it hard, that's the one thing that really negates hitting the ball hard is hitting it on the ground. So we're trying to get the ball in the line drive or higher. Obviously, home runs. It's Yankee Stadium. It's built for home runs. All this kind of makes sense. So they moved this barrel.
Really well done by Trevor. It's a great show. It's May Day. It is not easy to carry a show on your own, and Trevor does it really well. You can catch the first hour every Monday on the Foul Territory YouTube channel, and then hour 2 on Trevor May's YouTube channel. The show is live. You can ask questions. He's super interactive. Trevor's really smart and gives you that pitcher take. So
he's very smart.
Yes, he is. I'll give you one more pitcher take on the Torpedo Bats before Todd Father weighs in. Matt Strom tweeted yesterday. We might get him on the show this week too, but he said, let them use whatever bat they want. Let's just allow pitchers to use whatever hitters have in the on-deck circle and not check us like we are criminals every time we walk on or off the field. I'm just a pitcher, but I'm assuming better grip helps you swing harder.
I understand what he's saying, but I would say better grip helps you to stay on the bat. Yeah, I don't have anything wrong with what he's saying here. Let the pitchers do whatever they want, which is fine, but there's got to be, if they have tack on the ball, like they can manipulate exactly where the ball goes. I think this is coming from a little frustration over the bats. I don't know. I just don't understand. People use it. Giancarlo Stanton used it in the playoffs last year. Like there's nobody said anything about it. Like I don't know.
Nobody knew that.
Nobody knew either. But at the same time, we're making this big deal. It's legal of what they're doing. Each team. I'm not just pointing the Yankees, but every team and player that's using this bat, it's legal. It's very legal. And are they hitting home runs because of it? Maybe it's helping them hit it a little better. Yeah, so they don't get jammed. But at the same time, pitchers are getting better and better each year. So, why not try and, different bat or do different stance or something to try and help them out as well. I think this is coming from frustration, but I don't have a problem with what he's saying. I just think, maybe assuming if you have better grip, better grip for me was so I could hold on to the bat. That doesn't mean I'm going to swing harder.
Well, sometimes your bat went flying, and then so would the baseball, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, the Dodgers tweet we sent out yesterday from the broadcast, they talked about it is literally they're all ordering them. So our tweet said, as if they weren't good enough, the Dodgers are about to get their shipment of torpedo bats. This isn't a Yankees thing like we've talked about. Any player can have one. It's not like the Yankees have some proprietary info or their own bat company. Every player is going to have the opportunity to use these bats. Yeah. And did you like the part that Trevor said to help explain how this could change things? Kratz is not getting jammed as much, leading to those ground ball blah. That's not as fun to watch. I'm like, cool, more fly balls leads to more home runs. So we might see that.
Yeah, I guess. No. It's not going to change. I wish I had all the different kinds. Obviously, you see a bunch of different bats hanging behind me. There's so many differences in the bats. This is just another difference. It's just getting super blown out of proportion. Look, you can see you can see right here. Brandon Lau. Then we have Eric Hosmer. Then we have Christian Yelich. Then we have Giancarlo Stanton. Then we have the Todd Father. Like, all these bats are completely different. The barrel is a lot longer. The barrel is shorter. It's a skinnier barrel over here with Yellies. Like, there's so many different things that are changed. It's not like if you're not trying somebody else's bat, you're probably an all-star or an MVP in Judge's situation. Like, I'm picking Todd's toothpick up, and I'm like, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try it out, even though he's a tiny guy. He's not using the biggest bat in the world. So
look at the length behind you. I got the longest length, okay? You talk about length.
Wait, what is this a baseball show still?
35, right? That's a 35-inch bat. Take it off.
You can go up to 40. You can go up to 42. So you didn't. Why didn't you do it?
Because I'm not Baby Ruth. All right, I'm not that strong.
Yeah, you're not that strong. Exactly what I said.
They're blown. You're right. They're blowing it up. They're blowing this thing up. I just think, honestly, it's not cheating. It's a different variation of a baseball bat. I-13s are different than 271s and P72s, C243s. Some people use smaller bats. Some people use longer bats, different variations. It is getting blown up. It's a pretty cool thing that they got going on. They made the barrel bigger. Barry Bonds, what do you use? A 32-inch bat, but his barrel was monstrous. Nobody said anything about that.
Kratz, you know what amuses me? Because I'm just the media guy.
Yes.
Is when people that talk about baseball, like 5 out of 365 days a year start explaining the intricacies of the sport and the specs on a bat. Like, you know who you are out there. And hey, anybody can talk about a sport. No, I'm not criticizing that. It's just funny when you get some deep dives from the networks or the other media companies out there that don't cover the game that frequently, and you start to see the takes, and they're like,
oh God, it's
getting into it back and forth with people. I'm like, gosh,
they use the wrong lingo and everything. It's just,
it sounds really weird.
Oh, that's cringy.
It is.
The MLB is letting the Yankees do whatever they want,
I'm like, every player, every team's doing it. Doesn't mean every player, but all teams are doing it.
Right, everyone's gonna have an opportunity. And let me ask you this, because obviously the bat companies are having a field day, and good for them. Like, let them get some pub. They work their tails off to make bats, especially nowadays, for the players to be suitable for their standards to use in a major league game. What percentage of players do you think will have and use a torpedo bat within the next month? And then also give me what percentage you think will use the torpedo bat in games regularly by September. Who wants to go first?
Listen, I don't think it's going to change as much. I think, if you're a guy that's guy gets on base all the time, why would you want to, like a Luis Arias, even though he's struggling a little bit, why would you want to change something when you've been swinging with the same bat your whole life? You know what I mean? You're at a time in your career where home runs aren't necessarily you. Like, they're not looking for you to hit a home run. Now, if you're looking for a guy that's on the tail end of his career, that usually averages 25 to 30 homers, and you're at a pace right now where you're like, man, I need to get paid a little more. Yeah, I'm going to try this bat out, because all of a sudden now I can get rid of getting jammed. If I'm a guy like myself that can get jammed all the time, I'm going to try this bat out. It just depends on what type of hitter you are. I don't think it's necessarily going to skyrocket, but you're going to see, some guys use it. You can't just jump in to a game all of a sudden and be like, oh, I'm using this, and think I'm going to hit better. Your swing path might be different, so guys are going to try in batting practice, and, I think it might jump up 25%, 25, 30%.
I'll give you a percentage after I give you this story. I used to play with Carlos Ruiz. Chooch, he had his Chooch model. I don't have it around here. I wish I did, but maybe I'll bring it tomorrow. He had his model that he used. He said one time, he goes, hey, do you know what I do sometimes, Bobby? He said, sometimes I get a hit and I say, you know what? This bat, it doesn't have any more hits anymore. Now I have to use a white guy bat. He said, maybe some guys swing really hard. I have to use a Latin guy's bat. So maybe I use Raul Ibanez, because he's like white guy and Latin guy all in one. So guys switch them during the games. What percentage? I bet 50% of guys will have them ordered and have torpedo bats with their names on them. If you didn't, then you have a contract with a company that doesn't make them. You just want to have them just to try them out. So even more than 50% are going to try them out. And I guarantee you, 75% of those dudes are going to look at it and go, ugh, I hate the feel of this. I'm not trying to get jammed. I'm going to try to stay inside the ball longer. You know what? I don't like the feel of it. So will 10% be using it in a month? Sure. But I bet of those 10%, dudes are going to be switching it during the game. They're going to go over. You think Rafi Devers right now is using the same bat all 19 at-bats? I don't think so.
No. And baseball players are very fickle, and they're very routine oriented, and they're not going to want to change much, especially if they're doing well. But again, Kratz, I think it's a good point. I think guys are going to order it and be like, oh, I got to at least try this out. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you got to give it a shot, and then if you don't like it, you don't like it. But right now, it's less than 1%. So even getting to 10%, okay, then now this is a part of our sport. For certain guys, it'll click. All right, we'll be right back. We'll talk about a few other games we didn't get to, and a little bullpen signing next. Let's hit it. BetMGM Locks of the day. Todd Father, you're up first. What's happening tonight?
Real simple. Sandy Alcantara is on the mound today versus the Mets with Kodai Senga. I'm taking the under here. I'm not a big under guy, 7 and a hook. I mean, 7.5 at minus 105. I just think it's going to be low scoring. Sandy Alcantara had a really good outing in his first outing. And I think Kodai is going to come back and dominate and do pretty well. So how many innings he pitches, I don't know. It's going to be risky, but I'd see a close game here, and I see under 7.5 runs, 210 to win 200.
Nice. Kratz?
The Marlins have used more bullpen arms than any team besides the Cubs and Dodgers, and they've played 2 more games. So anyway, I'm going Corbin Burns over 5.5 punchies. It's paying even money. Put 100 down to win 100.
I like it.
Ooh.
That's a good one tonight against the Yanks. And then I'll go Padres, money line, stay undefeated. They're taking on Cleveland, obviously, in this series right now. But that was 160, minus 160 alone. So I'm just adding a little over. I got burned on it last week, but I'm going to do it again. Over 5 runs, and even 5, okay? So when you combine those, we're at plus 105. Just going back to the basics. I'm not going to get greedy on you. Just a hundo to win 105 for the Padres to win and for that game to have at least 6 runs in it. Go check those out. Partake if you'd like. And partake in the Parlay Boost token to score a bigger payout. You feel like you got a little strong lineup of MLB action? Get your stake back with a Parlay Boost. Or not get your stake back. Obviously, boost your stake with a Parlay Boost token. Go check it out right now in the BetMGM app or on BetMGM.com. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back with some transaction news and 1 or 2 games that we didn't get to. All right, we're back, people. Let's talk about Adam Ottavino, coming off a rough spring with the Red Sox, but he is going to join the New York Yankees, at least for now. Devin Williams going on the paternity list. So Ottavino, late stages of his career, trying to latch on, and he is back with the Yanks.
Yeah.
Funky Ottavino.
We'll see how long this lasts.
I mean, right now, you just need to just be mediocre with the Yanks because they're scoring, 10 runs a game?
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, 2019, though, he was money. 1.90 ERA, 73 appearances for them. And then, the numbers fell off in 2020. That was COVID year, short sample size, all that. But anyway, we'll see if he can kick it with the Yanks. Last year with the Mets, ERA was a little over 4, trying to hang on here towards the end of his career. He's getting up. What is Adam Ottavino? Anyone know?
I'm not
Should
sure.
I look it up?
But he goes down as one of those guys. Played for both Yankees and Mets. 34?
No.
39.
39.
Yeah. I was going to say 38. Yeah.
Good for him.
Doing it.
Yeah, doing it. Been in the league for a minute. Also didn't get to the Mets, but they smashed the Marlins yesterday, and Pete Alonso hit a salami.
Here we go.
To right center field, too.
Right center field, I was going to say. That's living right there.
Yeah.
That's living right. So
I feel like no one's talking about Pete yet.
That's good. Let him stay under the radar. Let's talk about Soto the whole time. He doesn't need it. He doesn't care. He doesn't want it. Let him stay under the radar. Let Soto talks take off, and all of a sudden you're going to see this team just, boom, skyrocket. Pete has been in the limelight with the Mets for a long time now, and he's still going to be. Don't get me wrong. But for him, he's enjoying everything right now. They have a squad that's, going to be pretty good. And if they can hit like this and he go in right center like that with ease, watch out.
That was a Mets sequence that they've paid a lot of money for this offseason. That was awesome. Soto had a great at-bat with runners on first and second. I thought they were going to steal him 3-2. They didn't. They kept him there because they know, you know what, the rare times that Soto takes that borderline pitch, you don't want him, strike him out, throw him out. So they didn't steal him. Soto takes a slider in the dirt. Pete just took, I get it, his home run, his grand slam was awesome. But the pitches before that he took, he fouled off a 3-1 heater. He just looked very comfortable up there. And then obviously he did that with some extra strength.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I think he's going to have a huge year. I do. Anyway, if you want more on the Mets Up is the show. It's part of the FT Network. You can see the QR code bottom corner of the screen. And then one more quickie on the Dodgers. Two things. I was watching the game yesterday. Freddie Freeman's day-to-day, so he's out right now. He tweaked his surgically repaired ankle in a very baseball way, entering the shower.
Yeah, even if you have flip-flops, sometimes I don't know exactly what their shower looks like, but it can be slippery. I would like to hear a little bit more about that. I mean, not the glory details, but how that happened. That's a tough one, man. I feel bad. That's a really bad one there.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
And was that with the Dodgers at the clubhouse, or is that at home? I mean, if it's at home, Kratz, we got to maybe switch it up. If it's in the clubhouse, then I don't know. You got to put those boards down that make it less slippery. Did you guys ever slip in the shower in the clubhouse?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You should see my shower shoes. I still have them. Them Johns were slippery on the bottom. Yeah, oh. Todd, I still have them. Read the book one time, okay? Read the book one time. Lot of danger in the shower. I'm just saying. Even on April Fool's Day, a lot of danger.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, Mookie Betts already put, I think, almost 10 pounds back on. Wants to do another 10.
Get the chef in there, baby.
So chefs plural is what I learned when I was watching the game yesterday. He's got multiple personal chefs, and they're making him food even to eat during the games, right? I mean, you give one of the most competitive, talented guys in the world at basically everything a task, and he's like, cool, I'm going to hit homers and have full meals during the game.
I don't know if he's eating a full meal during the game. I mean, my guy might be sucking down some applesauce packets or something. Look, Mookie knows what he needs to do. He's getting a couple supplements in there. He's getting some shakes. He doesn't need more than one chef. He's fine.
All right, answering questions right now. Travis said, if I'm blacked out of the Diamondbacks game, will I be able to join for the play-along? This is a new app, so I don't think you will, but don't quote me on that. You're saying depending on where you're at, where you're living. So, I mean, you might just have to do the old-fashioned way of listening to us. You can be in there, and then if you're getting the game there, you watch it that way. So I don't know all the answers. I can't solve all of MLB's blackout issues. I'm doing the best I can, though.
Can I ask you? I'm still confused about why games get blacked out. Do you know the answer to that? I don't know the explanation.
Do I have 2 minutes during a break to explain it all? No, but I can answer that. Yeah. I mean, here I'll give you one good example.
And they won't let them use it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, first off, there's in market versus out of market, right? So if you're in the New York market, you're watching these games, locally most of the time on SNY. Yes, obviously the Yankees have a million other places that end up getting the game. So do the Mets, really, with the national games. But the local ones, this is where you watch it. Yeah. So the one big thing that did improve a ton over the offseason was that through MLB or through FDSN or a number of other spots, you can actually stream games without a cable package, which is a new big thing. I think it's 27 out of 30 teams now that if you're in market, you can sign up. And if you're a cord cutter and you don't have that and you're watching us say on YouTube like this, that you can actually get the job done by just signing up and paying for the games themselves. There's still blackouts, though, for those three teams. And there's other blackouts, too. There's people in the middle of the country that don't get this team, but they get that team. So it's complicated. Okay.
Yeah, all right. That's all.
But that helps answer.
That helps me a little bit.
There have been significant strides this year to help that case. But everyone still gets confused sometimes about where to watch and all of that. So I'm certainly not going to cover. I had to do that for years when I was working at the league. People would be like, I can't watch this. I can't watch that. You get tweets all the time. I'm like, I don't make these decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just talking for the league, about stats and highlights. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
They don't pay me like that. All right, we'll be right back. We'll do a little slap hands. Let's slap one more reminder at you pretty often over the next 24 hours because it's a new thing and it's free to sign up for Playback, but we're going to be doing altcasts, watch-alongs. So it's cool. We were very excited when we learned about this. So join us. You can download the app or watch on playback.tv/FoulTerritory. So if you're listening Podwise right now, playback.tv/FoulTerritory. Go sign up for a free account and you can hang out and watch the game with us tomorrow. We'll be watching it on the screen together, Diamondbacks and Yanks. If you're having issues or you don't have the account right, you can still watch the game on your one screen and listen to us on that same stream. But the cool part is that we can watch it all together. All right, Kratz, hats, last licks.
Sorry, I was just downloading the Playback app so that I can watch when you guys talk about the game without me. Use the Rays.
You'll be on the next one or two. You'll be on with us soon.
Very nice.
Nope, I'm busy.
Very nice.
Too bad.
You're busy every night, forever?
Every night forever, the whole season. I'm watching 9 games, and I don't blink one time. I'm on that good Profar.
Oh, man. I got to say, though, like, I really missed, sitting back last night, like, little steak, little vino, watch a late-night ball game, good pitching matchup. Man. It's nice. It calms me down. I'm a little high strung.
You ever think of going on the carnivore diet? I feel like I'm going to try it.
I've done it. I mean, I'm paleo. It's halfway there.
You shut up, man.